Killed 7 men, 7 strangers. Does that not make you a serial killer?
So I didn't kill them every day, did I? Did I go out there every day and say, I'm going to kill? If I did, there would be
Well, no,
hundreds.
it took you 12 months.
Then he brings up Rex again, and that's when I just looked at him and I started sobbing.
If I had shot my own children, would I not have done a good job of it?
Because, first of all, women generally don't commit crimes this heinous.
Right.
This is usually the domain of men.
That's unfortunate.
Hi, Gabe.
Hey, Dani.
How are you doing?
I've been better. It is a sad week for all of us.
Wait, what happened?
I think you should tell us what happened.
Oh, you're talking to me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess we'll just go right into it. So here's a sad update. There's actually a few.
I can think of 2.
Yeah. I don't know.
Should we even say a date?
We're not going to say a date. So
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we had to put Anarchy down. He was 15 years old and his body just started giving out and he couldn't get up. And we knew it was coming and he had, a lovely last day and people came and said bye to him and it was very nice. And then so to make things even better, that same week, my turtle, we named after my niece, which I'm now thinking was a bad idea.
Why?
Because she got attacked by a bunch of dogs, our neighbor's dogs, and they punctured her shell and ate probably an inch of it. And it was pretty gnarly. And I called over 30 vets trying to find somewhere to take her and nobody took her. And I finally found somewhere about an hour and a half away and I rushed her there and they gave her antibiotics and they flushed out her wounds and, she's going to be okay. We have to give her an antibiotic injection every 72 hours. And I don't know if you've ever given a reptile an injection, but it is hard. It's not easy. And she has a little beeswax shell. I can post a picture of her. So that she can go back in the water without water going into her wounds. Yeah, because that could lead to infection because she just goes to the bathroom in the water. But she's going to be okay. She's a trooper. She's super pissed at the whole world right now. She has to be inside for 6 months. We bought a little kiddie pool and we filled it with towels and not little, but Tupperwares of water for her. Cause oh my God. Anyway, so that's what that's what's been going on. Those are the 2 sad updates. I think that's it.
For now.
See
how this.
Oh, my parents' cat also got, murdered by a coyote.
Atticus?
Yeah.
Wow. He lived a long time out in the wilds.
He did. He was, also 15.
Damn.
Maybe 16 actually. I think he was 16.
He finally got too slow.
Yeah. So, we haven't recorded in a while.
Yeah.
But we're here and it's going to be a solid episode because, I've been busy not thinking about that stuff and instead researching this episode of this woman that I've known about for quite a while and just haven't wanted, to be quite honest, to put the time into it because this was going to take a lot of time. And I did it. And it's going to be long. It's 8 pages of notes, single spaced.
Well, nothing is better during mourning than reading about a woman who is attempting to equal the playing field in terms of crime. She's
equaling the playing field in multiple ways. So
see, she's a trendsetter.
She is. She's a feminist.
She's why are men the only ones committing all manner of crimes?
She's a Silicon Valley woman.
Oh, then maybe I have heard of her.
You probably have.
There's one really major one that comes to mind immediately.
It was her.
I forget her name.
Elizabeth Holmes.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I'm not
Theranos.
Sure. Oh, is it the one who was this is the new Steve Jobs?
Yes.
And then she wasn't because she committed crime.
Because she was lying about everything? Yeah. That's her. And she is bonkers.
Cool. I just assumed it was a regular run-of-the-mill Ponzi scheme / she lied to investors about what her company is grossing and
Well, that's kind of it, but we're going to go into like the nitty gritty details that make this story what it is and why it got so much PR and stuff in the media.
Cool.
Yeah.
Then I'm ready to go.
Well, how are you?
I don't even know. When did we last record?
I have no idea. Oh, we have another episode that we haven't released yet. I feel like we'll probably release this one first.
Yeah.
Maybe we just make that one a Patreon episode.
There you go.
Yep. Done.
By the way, and I hesitate to say this because Patreon loses us money because Dani just gave everyone Yeti tumblers again.
You guys, when I get stressed, I spend money.
Yeah. But I will say, if you aren't subscribed to our Patreon, like you come out ahead. It doesn't make any financial sense for us to have it.
It just makes me happy.
Yeah. Like I'm a little surprised now. You know what it is? It's because we don't have that many Patreons yet. And they don't post publicly like, oh, they just gifted us another gift. Like,
we're also really bad and we don't post it either.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't even take any pictures. I mailed them all out and I was like, oh, I didn't take a single picture.
Just ask them for pictures.
I could. They're all very nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Just be like, hey, can we get a photo for the page?
Yeah. Patreon people, if you still listen, which you do, because you message me, could you send me a picture of your gift?
There we go.
Thank you.
Nice.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I'm fine. I mean, it's nothing that no one else is currently dealing with is where I'm at.
That's fair. Yeah.
And I think I talked about Japan in the episode.
Well, actually, that's not true. No, I'm not going to say that. Yeah. Fair.
Yeah.
Did you talk about Japan? Yeah. You had just gotten back from Japan.
Yeah. Then we're good. I mean, I just work, guys. That's all I do. I work 8 to 5, go train, come home, eat dinner, work some more.
Such an American.
I'm just trying to get enough money to either leave forever and never have to work or buy a house in a very expensive part of the world.
Cool.
We have fulfilling lives.
Yeah, we do. All right. Wow. The vibes in this episode are great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
All right.
You ready?
Yes.
So I actually read a lot of articles and went on the Elizabeth Holmes subreddit and the Theranos subreddit, and I'd say most of this notes that I am currently looking at are from the book Bad Blood, Secrets and Lies in a Silicon Valley Startup.
Ooh, so ominous.
Yeah. So Elizabeth Holmes was described as not an average child. When she was 7 years old, her family asked her what she wanted to be when she grew up. And she said, I want to be a billionaire.
Have you seen that video where it's a lot of like kindergartners and they're graduating kindergarten and they wrote down what they want to be when they grow up. And some people say stuff like a unicorn or like a McDonald's worker. Like they just say like the most random things. And
That's so cute. That's so much better than a billionaire.
I'm surprised to think of a child being like, although I guess kids now do say they want to be an influencer, a YouTuber.
Well, yeah, that's true. But she, when was she born? She was born in 1984. So like not
Millennial.
even that much. Yeah, millennial.
On the upper end, but yeah.
Back then, like billionaires weren't as common as they are now.
No, you're so right. Yeah, that does make it really weird.
Well, let me get into why.
Okay.
Well, first of all, let me finish the quote. So her relative was like, well, wouldn't you rather be president? And she was, sorry, I just got an alert on my phone. And it's like, your bank account is low. I'm like, it shouldn't be low. I'll need to look into that later. So we're not going to worry about that. So they're like, wouldn't you rather be president? And I remember in second grade, I was like, I want to be the first woman president. And now I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But she was like, no, the president will marry me because I'll have $1 billion.
Okay, did she really say this? Or is this one of those, like, you rewrite history to make it fit the person that she became?
Nobody knows. But I will say her family, her father's family, are descendants of Charles Louis Fleischmann. Do you know who Fleischmann is?
No, but he sounds German.
Oh gosh, I think he was Dutch or something. I don't know. Maybe he was German. The yeast packets you buy in the store for bread.
I don't buy yeast packets in the store.
Well, any person who went through COVID and started making bread,
Yeah.
and any person who bakes really knows these packets.
Yeah.
There's one that comes in a glass jar, and then there's little like 3 packs that you can buy, and they're like single serve for one recipe kind of thing. And they're not expensive. It's like $1.79 for these 3 packets. But anyways, it's like McCormick's, like it is a household name to the average person who goes to the grocery store, who's not Gabe.
Yeah.
I'm shocked you don't know.
I don't bake things. What I put in the oven to bake is broccoli, salmon.
That doesn't count as baking. That's
Chicken.
cooking.
Exactly. Okay. I don't bake bread.
Well, anyways, so the Fleischmans at one point were one of the wealthiest families in America at the turn of the 20th century. So like 1800s. Yeah, there you go. Her great-great-grandfather was also a doctor and opened up a hospital because, they had money, so he could.
Yeah.
And so, clearly in her genes was medicine and an entrepreneurial spirit.
Entrepreneurial.
There you go.
Or entrepreneur spirit. Could that work? Probably. I don't know. I'm not a grammar police person.
So
she had that grind set, is how the kids would say it.
So her family has this history of like coming from money, but unfortunately her father says that his father and grandfather squandered the family fortune through countless marriages, divorces, alcoholism, and living large.
I feel like the living large and alcoholism is a far bigger factor than the divorces and marriages.
I mean, I don't know. Doesn't divorce you lose 50%?
Yeah, but alcoholism, you lose your mind and your body, and you burn through cash. I mean, alcohol is expensive.
Yeah, it is. So anyways, her father was clearly resentful of that. And I think it was a common theme in that household. And he probably said things like, we'd be billionaires if it wasn't for them, kind of thing. So maybe she heard that and was like, oh, that's what I want to be.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what I fully expect to happen is just one of her parents or grandparents put it the exact thought in her head. Mm-hmm. Be a billionaire, and then you're so powerful even a president wants to be with you. Kids don't say stuff like this out of pocket.
Absolutely.
It's just, this is the kind of thing that gets rewritten in them, to make it.
Yeah.
People like narratives. They like consistent narratives and people are equally real figures and characters in this life movie we're all watching.
Mm-hmm. So she grew up in Washington, D.C. Her father held a few different government jobs, nothing of note, and her mom worked as an aide on Capitol Hill until she had Elizabeth and the younger son, Christian, who will come back, by the way. And then...
Random aside, is Christian gay?
I don't think so.
I've met 4 Christians in my life. 3 of them are gay.
Oh.
So I'm seeing if there's a pattern.
I'm not sure. He was a frat bro. He went to Duke, so I was just assuming no, but it doesn't mean anything. Yeah. I don't know.
Just totally random aside thing I've noticed in the people I met in my life.
Okay. So they ended up, when Elizabeth was in high school, they moved to Houston so that her dad could take a job at Tenneco. It's a big company in Texas, and her father made sure to enroll his kids into prestigious private schools because he wanted nothing but the best for his kids. And Elizabeth always excelled in school, and she did have an amazing work ethic. She set her sights on attending Stanford because she was interested in science and computers and wanted to become a billionaire. And she saw all the Silicon Valley boom and knew it was her best bet, because the founders of Yahoo and Google graduated from Stanford.
I see. I was thinking initially, but why not MIT? Isn't that the most prestigious technical university? But I guess if you want to be in the heart of where tech culture is, you would go to the Bay.
Mm-hmm. So Elizabeth's father traveled to China a lot for business, and he made sure that his children learned Mandarin.
Such a good move. Damn. There's actual analysis done showing that it is better to be born rich than have a high IQ. And this is exactly why.
I don't disagree. And because she knew Mandarin, she was actually able to get into the Stanford summer Mandarin program while she was in high school, even though it was only supposed to be open to college students. But she impressed the program director so much that they made an exception. So, yeah, she ended up being accepted to Stanford in 2002 as a president's scholar. And she decided to study chemical engineering. She did very well in college. She started dating a sophomore, and she was helping a PhD student with his research in laundry detergent enzymes. She was even noticed by one of the lead professors of that major.
Oh.
I forget what they're called, like head professor. Yeah, there's always a lead.
The department head.
There you go.
Yeah.
However, a few months after starting college, she realized she wanted to drop out. And speaking of dropout, there's a Hulu miniseries on her called The Dropout with Amanda Seyfried. The girl in Mean Girls.
Oh, okay.
And I heard it's really good, and I want to watch it, but it wasn't fully
sold.
Accurate. I guess it's like a dramatized.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Like the Anna Delvey show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which I thought was really good.
Yeah. So I do want to watch this one, but I like to watch the things after we record because I tend to mix up.
Of course, yeah.
I'll be like, yeah, that happened. No.
Yeah.
Anyways, so she wanted to drop out of college, and her dad was like, why? And she was like, I'm not interested in getting a PhD. I want to make money.
She's not wrong.
Yeah.
PhDs aren't, like, if you look at who in our society is the wealthiest, it doesn't actually tend to be people with PhDs. They are the most passionate about a very specific subject. Mm-hmm. But that subject is not often making money.
Yeah. Soon after this, she broke up with her boyfriend, and she told him it was because she was going to be starting her own company and would have to devote all of her time to it.
Sure.
However, she didn't drop out immediately. First, she did a summer internship in Asia where she helped test patients for SARS. Do you remember there was that SARS outbreak?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she realized how inefficient the old school low-tech methods of testing, like with syringes and nasal swabs, were. And she was like, there has to be a better way.
It's like an infomercial. There just has to be a better way.
So,
introducing the Brain Sucker 5000. Only kills 10% of patients.
When she got back home, she immediately began researching and trying to come up with a better solution. She ended up writing a patent application. Another thing money can get you is patent lawyers.
I met 1%ers, and they made their wealth off of patents. Mm-hmm. And it's, yeah. Again, guys, be rich, don't be smart.
She wrote a patent application for an arm patch that would diagnose and also treat the patient. And you're like, what? We'll get into it, don't worry. So she went back to school for her sophomore year and immediately went to the professor that she hit it off with, the head of the department. Mm-hmm. And she also went to that PhD student that she worked with with the laundry enzymes. And she told both of them, it's just my candy, sorry. She told both of them her idea of like, I want to create an arm patch that you just stick on your arm. It takes a little blood sample and it will diagnose, and then it will inject you with a treatment. And that was her idea.
This sounds like a very complicated arm patch.
Yes.
Is it like a Band-Aid?
Yes. Well, like a nicotine patch kind of thing.
And then it has the ability to both take blood from you and then administer a treatment based on the results? Mm-hmm. That doesn't sound doable.
You'll see. It evolves from that idea, but that's her original idea.
Okay.
And the professor, the head of the department, Robertson, was quoted saying, she had somehow been able to take and synthesize these pieces of science and engineering and technology in ways that I had never thought of. I never encountered a student like this before. Of then thousands of students I have talked to, I encouraged her to go out and pursue her dream. So she did. At age 19, she dropped out of college and started her first company.
With what money?
Well, she goes to, first of all, her family invests on, but then she goes to a bunch of people. We'll get into it.
Okay.
So, Chinook, the PhD student who at the laundry enzymes, he ends up graduating and then becomes her first employee and minority stakeholder in the business. So we're currently in May of 2004. And it was a rough start. They rented this like really tiny building in East Palo Alto. And shootings were common. Break-ins were common.
Really?
It was a really sketch little area.
That's so funny because I would just think of it as like this gentrified tech hub.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
Well, back then,
yeah,
I think it was West Palo. She ends up moving to the other side of this place where that was. And
you know what that means in Spanish?
No.
Tall stick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just tall stick. I wonder why. I've never noticed especially tall sticks there.
Wait, so Palo is stick or alto?
The stick.
Oh, man. Okay. So she...
Oh, probably the redwoods. Tall sticks. That would make sense.
Oh. I wanted to tell you about the neighborhood that I currently live in, but it will tell everybody where I live. Yeah. We're not going to. Yeah. So anyways, Elizabeth incorporated the company to call it Real Time Cures.
That does not roll off the tongue.
No, it doesn't. Unfortunately, a typo on the checks that she ordered for writing like her employee checks, it said real time curses, and she couldn't afford to get new checks. So that's a great thing right there. Real attention to detail.
I would have just pivoted and said, okay, we're just doing like witch stuff. We're just going to sell spells to people and be like, well, hex your enemies if you... Well, give us $5,000.
She ends up deciding to change the name of the company altogether. And she changes it to Theranos, which is a combination of the words therapy and diagnosis.
That's so funny. Because when you said the word Theranos, I'm like, if I could think of... what?
Thanos. I think of Thanos.
Well, yeah, more or less. But I was like, if I could think of like an evil company name, Theranos would be up there.
You don't think of therapy and diagnosis?
No.
What? Wild. She should have gotten a think tank together.
Yeah.
So the idea of that company, like we talked about, was a patch that would draw blood painlessly using micro needles. And then the patch contained a microchip sensing system that would analyze and diagnose the blood and then decide how much of a drug to deliver. And it would also send all of this information to the patient's doctor.
That just seems so difficult to make. I mean, how do you even account for the dosage?
How do you fit every single possible kind of cure into a patch? Yeah.
Well, if it's just for one disease, I could see that. Like, at least the theory of it.
Uh-huh.
But where it gets complicated is taking the blood, reading the blood, and then knowing how much to administer. Because, like, where is all of this cure being held if it's like a Band-Aid kind of patch? This sounds more like a thing you'd have on your wrist, like a wristband, as opposed to like a Band-Aid.
Yeah. Well, she managed to use her family connections and get investors. So she convinced the father of her childhood friend, so the father's name is Tim Draper, to invest $1 million. And not only did the money carry a lot of weight, but so did the fact that he invested, because his grandfather had founded Silicon Valley's first venture capital firm in the 50s. And then Tim himself owned an investment firm that was known for like really lucrative early investments. So him investing like set a precedence of people were like, oh, snap, this is going somewhere.
I know, it's insane. And this is why investing at times feels so much like gambling.
Yeah. But if you look at the people who invested, you'll notice that it was people who weren't really in the medical field. So like in July 2004, she had an investor meeting with a company called Med Venture Associated. It was a venture capital firm that focused on medical technology. And she did her usual spiel that she did to all of them. And the partners began asking her more probing questions like, oh, how would it work?
Oh, who could have thought to ask that?
And like, they brought up something currently on the market called Abaxis that was like, had a different idea, but like similar. I don't really look into it, to be honest. And she ended up getting so flustered, she just left.
See, that's a power move. You're like, I'm not going to sit here and answer your dumb questions.
Well, sure, it's a power move, but they did not invest, so it didn't work.
So the people who know about the field are like, you're full of crap.
Yeah.
But the people who are like, hey, where do I put this money?
Yeah, exactly.
This sounds like a good idea.
Exactly. So by the end of 2004, she had raised nearly $6 million from investors.
None of which are in the medical field.
Correct.
Cool.
And the PhD student, Chinook, I'm like worried I'm saying his name wrong. Shaunak.
AU?
Shaunak.
Chinook?
Well, he quickly realized the whole patch idea was impossible. And they switched over to a similar approach that used kind of an idea like, glucose monitoring devices.
Yeah.
Prick your finger.
Yes. See, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. So they switched to that where you'd do a finger prick, put the blood on a cartridge that was like a credit card, and then you'd put it into the reader and be able to read the blood and diagnose and send it to a doctor. It took away the whole cure part.
So it's just a glucose monitor, except for the particular signals in your blood that show you have SARS.
Yeah, except it's saying that it can read. So have you ever had to go and get blood taken for like a blood test that your doctor, so you go and they usually take like a few vials, right?
Yep.
They take multiple vials because there's multiple different blood tests, and each one you have to like put something into the blood to get it to read what you want it to read.
Yeah.
And it's very complicated. And she's pretty much saying that from a single drop of blood, she's able to do all those tests that you need multiple cartridges for.
Well, that's just not like, okay, I don't have a PhD and I can hear this, and I didn't know what her company did. I thought she was like a basic Ponzi scheme, which I guess it does sound like it is because she's taking investor money and lying about what the outcome's going to be, and keeping it going with more.
She's not really lying yet because
I guess she's like letting them lie to themselves. The investors.
No, she genuinely right now thinks it's possible. So she's not lying. She's saying this is what we're going towards.
Got it. Very ambitious then.
Yes.
But to me as a layperson, and I'm glad I didn't know anything about her company before, but that just seems like crazy talk. You need, because you touched on it immediately. It's not just the blood you have to read. You have to add stuff to the blood and get a certain reaction. Mm-hmm. So doing it with one drop of blood is just not possible. Mm-hmm. Maybe in the future, if we have the ability to take a drop of blood, somehow clone it indefinitely in a test environment, then we could be like, cool, and now you just have like...
You'll see where this goes, but by late 2005, they had a prototype called Theranos 1.0, and they had hired 24 employees. And a prototype does not mean a working machine or anything. It means this is what we think the machine will look like, or this is what we're aiming for, right?
So I guess, no, I was mistaken then. I assumed the prototype was like an early version of the finished product. Like if I were to give you a prototype of a bike, it might have like a wheel and a half and some pedals. And I'd be like, yeah, like this is roughly what a finished bike will look like.
That's fair. Maybe like a bike with like one wheel and one pedal and like a handlebar or so. Like, yeah. You're getting there, but it's not,
I'm
not
like, here's the concept. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. That's correct.
Yeah. But it sounds like she made a model. Like
she did make a prototype. It, did stuff.
Like what?
It wasn't accurate. We're not there yet. Hold on. We'll get there. Don't worry.
Okay.
So the plan was to license the blood testing technology to pharmaceutical companies, and the companies would use the technology to catch adverse drug reactions during clinical trials. Okay. That was like the initial plan before expanding.
Okay.
In early 2006, Elizabeth hired a man named Edmund Koo, who was known in Silicon Valley as a problem solver. He was inspired by Elizabeth, who spoke of wanting to create a machine that would change the medical field and save lives. Unfortunately, Ed quickly realized that this would be the toughest job he's ever come across. He was tasked with turning Theranos 1.0 into a functioning machine instead of just an inspirational prototype, right?
Okay, yeah.
And he realized quickly that part of the inefficiency and difficulty with making the product work was how the company was structured. So
maybe I'm just naive, but it seems like the difficulty is in how they want to use one drop of blood to run many, many different blood tests.
That's part of it. But he was working with a group. They were, I believe, they were the engineers, and they were working on making the prototype work by having all the fluids go where they're supposed to. So there's a bunch of little tubies in there, and they all have different fluids, and they need to go where they're supposed to go.
Sure.
But he and his group were not allowed to talk to the chemistry group, who knew what each fluid did and what the end goal was, and like how essentially it would give them the results, right?
Well, they could still work together. I wouldn't need to know what the fluid is. I would just need to know where does it go under what parameters.
Well, Ed's point was like, I'm being told what to do, but for me to do my job of being a problem solver and really make this machine work, I want to understand the full product so I can come up with an idea that might be better.
I mean, I agree with him there.
Yeah.
If this is what he does, he's unfortunately got to be given access. I know she probably wants to keep it proprietary, but yeah, you hired him.
Yeah. And
give him an NDA or several.
He did. Everybody who's hired has like multiple NDAs.
I know. And from what I've heard, they're actually not that hard to bust with a good lawyer. So you do what you can.
Yeah. And he also was interviewed in the book. Well, he's like quoted in the book, and he's saying there was a lot of turnover at the company. Nobody knew why. You'd show up to work and you'd work with somebody for a few weeks, and then you would show up and they'd just be gone, and nobody knew what happened to them. So it led to a really toxic and stressful work environment. And Elizabeth was obsessed with the idea of making sure the product only needed a small amount of blood and was portable and easy to carry around, You know,
the crazy thing, like when you go to get your blood drawn, it's like 3 vials.
Yeah, like 3 or 4, yeah.
That device could still be portable.
Right.
And take that much blood. I think a real prototype would be, here is a device the size of a brick that can do all this and requires 3 vials of blood. That is a prototype. It's still pretty portable.
So I feel like you don't. So currently, even now, I believe, where after your blood is drawn, it goes to a machine that's bigger than this dining table.
Yeah, it does the whole, yeah.
Like it's huge and expensive. So it's not as easy as you might think, even if they were able to take more blood. But she was obsessed with that small. So even if they were like, we think we can do something if you can get more blood, she was like, I don't care I want it to be a drop. And they're like,
So at the core of this entire business is, how do you take a machine the size of a table and make it the size of a cell phone?
Not even a cell phone. I want to say like
A microwave?
sure, like a small microwave.
So then yeah, okay, so that's the whole premise then of her business.
Mm-hmm.
Take bigger technology, make it into smaller technology.
Yeah, with less blood. And also one machine can do everything. Currently for each, there's multiple machines. Yeah.
Why the less blood?
Because she had a huge fear of needles, Gabe.
Is that really it?
Yeah. And she got obsessed with this idea of not needing to do it through the arm
It, like, either way, you're getting a hole in your skin. Like, you might as well.
Have you ever done the blood glucose test kit at home?
It's a little prick.
Yeah.
I've not done it. I don't have.
It's like you take like I've done it because when Kobe was in nursing school, they did it for fun. And I was drinking like a glass of juice and he was like, let's do it. And he did it and we tested it. And he was like, Dani, your blood glucose, it was like at 70 or something. He was like, this is low and you're drinking juice. And I was like, huh. Anyways, it's like almost like a pen. You just take it to your finger and you push a button and it just goes boop.
Yeah.
Like you don't see the needle or anything. It's really easy. I almost think maybe that was the idea.
This just seems very, very ambitious.
It is very ambitious. And because of that company, they flew through the first $6 million, the investment money they had gotten.
Doing what?
Every cartridge that they use for testing is $200, and they're using hundreds of those per week to try and get this machine to give them accurate results. And Elizabeth had also purchased a $2 million automated packaging line, so they'd be ready to start shipping as soon as the product was ready, which it was nowhere near ready. And they had all their employees to pay, stuff like that, rent. She catered dinner every night to encourage employees to stay late.
Why?
Yeah. But don't
stay late for what? Like, it just seems like an impossible goal.
But don't worry. Elizabeth went, she got more and more investors. She ended up getting another $9 million in funding. One of the investors was actually what's his name? Larry Ellerson, the guy who founded Oracle.
Oh, okay.
He's like the second richest man in the world.
You're kidding.
It's somewhere up there. Top 5 for sure.
Okay.
And I'm like, let's fact check that.
I was like, isn't it Bezos who's number 2?
Larry Ellison.
He's number 4, I think.
4.
How is Mark Zuckerberg number 2? What is Meta? Like, who uses Meta anymore? I guess a lot of the world
Boomers?
does. Yeah.
Yeah, he's number 4. Okay. Well, there's 2 Larrys on this list. Must be a good name.
Strong name, yeah.
Anyways, so she got another $9 million in funding, and she was super stressed and unhappy with the lack of progress in the company. So one day she pulled Ed into her office and she told him she wanted his group working 24/7. And he was like, absolutely not. Everyone will burn out. We won't get results that way. And she was like, I do not care. They're all replaceable. And the only thing that matters is the company. So Ed once again refuses, and he's like, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. And so what she does is she ends up hiring a new engineering group that she kept separate from Ed's group. And she like pitted them against each other. Like it was a Hunger Games style, but work environment.
And then what, like loser loses their job?
Yeah.
I would just be looking for a new job.
Yeah.
I mean, this was like the late 2008, 2009 at this point.
We're like 2007.
Yeah, I mean, I bet there was plenty of opportunities. Oh no, we're about to hit 08.
Yeah.
The crash.
Yeah, we are.
But they don't know that.
So I think Ed genuinely wanted, that's the problem, is a lot of these people who work in the medical field genuinely want to create these products that will help people, you know? Like this is a revolutionary product. It could go, so like in the book, they talked about how somebody with cancer has to get their blood drawn so often, and it's so painful to constantly have a needle in your arm to take out blood like multiple times a week, and your arm's all bruised and it's really hard. So to be able to do that with a single drop of blood would change those people's lives for the better. And so they wanted to create it. So it wasn't like, oh, this work environment sucks, I'm going to find another job. It was like they cared about the product.
I understand that, but it's like me saying I want a machine that just cures cancer. Like, noble goal, but you have to ask yourself can this actually be done?
They thought it could.
They really thought they could get this down to like a portable thing. It takes one drop of blood and it can tell you what's wrong with you. Mm-hmm. Because I thought initially it was just about SARS. Now you're saying
that was how her idea started.
So you're saying it should be able to diagnose any condition.
It should be able to run like 300 blood tests.
And they genuinely thought they could do this.
Yeah. And if I wish I had written down their name, but somebody in the book said if you gave them another 30 years, they think they could do it. But the timeline in which was trying to make it happen was what was impossible.
I believe the 30-year thing.
Yeah, because in 30 years, who knows where we're going to be technology-wise.
Yeah, well, that, and also because, like I said, when I tried to distill it down to, they wanted a table-sized machine to be the size of a microwave. Like, we can eventually shrink.
Look at the iPhone, yeah.
Exactly. We can eventually shrink complicated technology down to a smaller device. So I know that part of it can be done. Mm-hmm. I don't know if the blood part of it can be done.
Right.
That seems, unless you're able to clone the blood quickly somehow, mm-hmm. and then you just like make more blood of the same blood out of very little blood.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're going to get the end goal though.
Yeah.
But ultimately, yeah, shrinking it down, totally doable, takes time, and probably like unrelated third parties to make their own breakthroughs for you to like then kind of cobble together. Mm-hmm. It's right. It's not like the iPhone. The iPhone didn't invent miniaturizing all of these computer chips and whatnot. Like they weren't the only ones working on this.
Right.
Like I think a lot of tech companies took from like Xerox, like Microsoft and Apple took ideas from Xerox and stuff. Like everyone was making little breakthroughs. Yeah.
So anyways, she hired that second engineering group, and then in early August of 2007, Elizabeth set up a study through Pfizer to try out a pilot program with Theranos. And the Theranos 1.0 units would be placed in people's homes, and patients would test their blood, and then the results would go to Theranos's office and then analyzed and sent to Pfizer. Ed was feeling uneasy about this because the machines were not reliable at all. And he was like, we shouldn't be doing a test like this yet because it's way too soon. And then he found out the patients were cancer patients and they're taking drugs to slow their cancer growth. And he got even more upset about everything because he's like, are these people actually relying on these results? Because these results might be inaccurate. In fact, they're more likely to be inaccurate than accurate. But that study, it ended up going through regardless, and it'll come back up later.
Okay.
In September of 2007, the new engineering company came up with a completely new design for the machine, and I do not understand it. But essentially, it's a new machine. They call it Edison, and it does something with something called pipettes. And I don't know. It got too jargony for me. I was like, I don't know what is happening, but there's a second machine and it's different than the first machine, and they're calling it Edison. And that's all you need to know, really.
Okay.
And then Ed was quickly let go, and his team.
Bye, Ed.
Bye. Around this time, the PhD student also quit. Chinook, he was there from the beginning. After 3.5 years, he realized that Elizabeth's vision wasn't where he wanted to be, so he left. And the board of directors was also starting to experience some turmoil. So a man named Avi Tevanian, who used to be an Apple executive and had retired with, this is literally what he said, he retired with more money than he knew what to do with. had been enamored with Elizabeth Holmes and the ideas she had presented to him, so he joined the Theranos board in 2006. Within a year, he started to see some disturbing things, such as how they were not allowed to talk to the employees and the repeated delays with the rollout of the product. Every quarter, they had a meeting. Every quarter, they were promised a finished product, but every single time the rollout got delayed for some excuse. It was, oh, we're fine-tuning this, or we're having trouble getting this product from China, or this or that. Like, there's always something. And he was like, this isn't good. And he began to question how far along they really were. Because keep in mind, she's telling them it's ready. It's going to be ready next quarter. And he brought his worries to the board's chairman and was shocked when the chairman sided with Elizabeth and swept aside everything this guy told him. And
Who was the chairman?
Some old guy who was really enthralled with Elizabeth. I can't remember his name. It was Don.
So this is taking on the shape of like a cult with her as this figurehead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
Yeah. She also, as you mentioned earlier, watched a bunch of Steve Jobs interviews and read books and stuff, and she kind of tried to take on his likeness almost. She always wore a black turtleneck, long sleeves shirt and black. She just wore all black, and then she lowered her voice a bit so she didn't talk so high. And if you listen to her talk, it drives me crazy. I hate it. I hate it so much.
I don't even know what she sounds like.
It's so annoying. It's like if I tried to talk like this on the regular. It's like, what are you doing?
Damn, you sound so competent.
Anyways, and then she lived off green juice, and it was the whole thing. She because Steve Jobs, you know, yeah. Anyways, regardless, it was cult-like to answer your question. And Avi ended up resigning, and he's, seems to be smart. He was there with Apple from beginning to when he retired with lots of money. And she also hired a bunch of Apple employees. This one guy that she hired, it was a girl. She left 15,000 stocks of Apple behind to switch to Theranos because she thought it was going to be an amazing product.
Mistake.
Yeah, huge mistake. And she hired these Apple employees for to create a touch screen for, the prototype and stuff like that. And then for publicity, what's it called? Where you publicize things?
PR.
There you go.
Relations.
I don't know. Yeah. That kind of thing. So in 2008, Theranos headquarters got a new pricey location next to Hewlett-Packard's headquarters in Palo Alto near the Stanford campus. So the a fancy section.
Why?
And a cough. What do you mean, why?
They're just burning through cash.
Mm-hmm. One day, two higher ups in the company decided to take the prototype to San Francisco. Is Palo Alto in the Bay Area?
Yeah.
I was I don't know where we are.
It's in the Bay.
It's Silicon Valley, Bay Area. Makes sense. Okay. So they took the prototype up to San Francisco, where the Golden Gate Bridge is, and they brought it to some friends' companies to give it a try. And they quickly realized pricking your finger for blood had been highly underestimated by them.
What do you mean underestimated?
Everybody working there and testing and stuff was in the medical field.
Yeah.
So it was easy.
Yeah.
Normal person, not easy. They had a lot of trouble with it. I don't know what they were using for the finger prick, but apparently this outing made them realize the first step was difficult, blood got everywhere. If you can't do the first step correctly, it didn't matter how accurate the machine was. If you can't do that first step, nothing could go beyond it. And I don't know, I read that there's a certain way, if you push your finger to get blood and stuff, you do it a certain way, it can cause the blood to react differently and things to break apart than if you, I don't know, it's complicated, but essentially they realized, oh shoot, if people can't do this first step, then like, uh-oh, you know?
That's a big oversight.
So they went back, they brought this to the attention of the team and Elizabeth, and nobody cared. They're like, no, it doesn't matter, it'll be fine. And that's just how this company was.
I like it. It's all vibes. Just like, you know, you just gotta, they'll figure it out.
They'll work out. It's fine.
Yeah.
So, new head associate, the head sales associate named Todd came in, and Todd quickly realized how overinflated the numbers were that Theranos was sharing with investors in pharmaceutical companies. He was like, hey, not he, but before, the person making the numbers was like, oh, it's going to be this profitable. You know, this is how much we're spending. This is how much we're expected to make. This is how much we're getting from investors, that kind of thing. And Todd was like, this isn't right, guys. This is like more than triple what it should be. And so he went to Theranos' general counselor named Michael and was like, yo, Michael, these numbers, they ain't right. And Michael was like, well, let's go to the board's chairman and talk to them. So Michael and Todd went to the board of directors and they're like, guys, we got a problem. And in March of 2008, the board voted to remove Elizabeth as CEO. They're like, she's too young. She doesn't know what she's doing. The fact that these numbers are so inaccurate has probably because she's like young, you know, not because she's doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
And then Elizabeth came in, and in a 2-hour meeting, she managed to convince the board to keep her on as CEO and that she would be more transparent and would change her management style.
Wow. Even Steve Jobs was kicked out by his board as CEO from Apple at one point.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So she survived what Steve Jobs couldn't.
Woman power.
Except Apple was like, you know, wildly successful.
Yeah. So in the summer of 2009, a guy named Sunny Balwani came on as a senior executive. He was about 2 decades older than Elizabeth, and nobody knew this in the company, but they were living together and dating. And did I say he was 2 decades older than her?
Isn't she like 21?
Yeah, he was like,
Weird.
19 years older than her.
Weird.
Super weird. Their private life was extremely secretive, but they had met while Elizabeth was in college, and I believe they started dating soon after she had started Theranos, but I'm not positive on the actual timeline.
Okay.
So
what's his deal? Is he very, very wealthy? Is he very...
Well, let me tell
influential?
you. So he was a successful rich guy who got his money during the .com bubble, and he got out like at the right time. And in 2009, he had come to work for that company, and he was under the impression that he was like the shit, and he wasn't lucky. He was super smart, and that's how he got his money. But like, no, he was super lucky because he just got out at the right time. Because I don't even remember the company he worked for, but it doesn't exist now, and it didn't go very far. He just got out at the right time. So he was hired to be some senior executive, and his management style was yelling. You know, one of those fun people.
Old school.
He was old. So, do you recall that study that Theranos did way back with Pfizer and the cancer patients?
Yeah, how'd it go?
Yeah, well, it's been 15 months and it's come to an end, and Pfizer is like, we are dropping out of making any purchases or any deals with Theranos due to the inconsistencies and failure of the study.
So it's a maybe then.
Well, it sounds like a no. And there's a lot of stuff. I'm just going to really quickly give a 20-second summary of everything going on.
Okay.
Elizabeth had this idea to create a medical diagnosing machine. She managed to get millions of dollars in funding for it by making promises and saying the research and device were a lot further along than they were. Like, the truth was they didn't even know if she wanted was possible. But she's over here telling people it's ready to go to market. And she's trying to make deals with pharmaceutical companies and telling investors it's ready to go out to production any day now. She opened up this office with employees in order to keep everyone from figuring out what is going on. She keeps all the teams away from each other. Nobody can see what other people are working on or researching. And she's dating this really old guy who screams, and he's now working for her. And the turnover rate of the company is extremely high. Okay? Caught up?
Nice.
Damn, I'm good. Okay.
Yeah.
So, in January of 2010, Elizabeth and Sunny did a huge presentation for Walgreens on how they developed a device that could run any blood test from a few drops pricked from a finger and for half the cost of traditional lab tests. And Walgreens is like, oh, snap, that's amazing. And she specifically spoke to this one guy who was like one of the head people of Walgreens, and I believe his name was Bird, B-Y-R-D, B-Y-R-D, Bird, Byard.
It's Bird. Beard.
And he was like really into health and stuff, and he was like, oh, snap. This is going to be it. This is the next thing. This is how we are going to beat CVS.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. And so he was like, we are absolutely creating a partnership. And so he went all in. He was so excited. And there's this pilot program that placed Theranos readers in there was like this pilot program scheduled to put Theranos readers in 30 to 90 Walgreens by mid-2011. And the stores would offer their customers blood tests through a finger prick, and you'd get results within an hour.
Okay.
And the preliminary contract had committed Walgreens to pre-purchase up to $50 million worth of product.
Wow.
Oh, and an initial loan amount of $25 million. So it's essentially $75 million. And they call it a loan, but it didn't have parameters to pay it back. It seemed more like an investment. Maybe it's considered a loan because it's part of them sending machines to Walgreens.
I'm not understanding. Like, it's so... it shouldn't be surprising that the people who make these decisions within these large companies are no smarter than anyone else.
Well, here's the thing. There was this guy, and he was a consultant for Walgreens. I should have written his name down too, but he wasn't there very long. He was a consultant for Walgreens, and he was like, I don't think what they're promising is possible. And Bird was like, no, it's fine.
That's my point.
And the consultant was like, you are paying me a lot of money to review these things, and I am telling you, I do not think they're being accurate. And Bird was like, nah. You gotta listen to Elizabeth. So
that's exactly my point. These people aren't smart.
It got crazier.
Okay.
So then this consultant guy was in the Zooms with them and everything, and he'd ask like hard questions.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth went to Bird and was like, can he not be in the Zooms? He's really like creating a toxic environment, and I find it stifling. And so then he wasn't allowed to be in the Zooms anymore.
What's this guy? This guy's name's Bird. Walgreens Bird. Does he still have a job?
No.
Well, whatever. My point is, like, just if anyone thinks people in executive positions are any smarter than anyone else, just know that by and large, they are people who make the same mistakes and are no better at avoiding bullshit than anyone else.
Yeah, absolutely.
More often than not, they just had the luck, the connections, the money to get there.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This guy was with Safeway, who hasn't come into play yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay. It'll be like in the next slide. So Bird is with Safeway. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
So Safeway does the same thing then.
Safeway does the same thing. Yes. Yes, they do. Anyway, so pretty much the same thing. She like is really good at bullshitting and getting close to the people that she knows to get close to. And then the people who like are questioning her, she can get them away. And if this initial partnership with Walgreens went well, they would expand nationwide. What Walgreens didn't realize was that the list of Theranos is saying there's 192 different things they could test for, but over half of those couldn't even be performed with what the blood test type that they were currently using.
That's still almost 100.
Yeah, but it's essentially they're just lying.
Oh, well, yeah, but they're lying about everything.
Yeah.
But if they can test for, 98
but
things,
the accuracy is not great.
Well, that's more of like up to interpretation.
Yeah, for sure. There's a few things that were like semi-accurate. One of them was some kind of STD. What was it? It wasn't syphilis. It was
Gonorrhea. Herpes. There's like multiple types of herpes. Isn't there?
Herpes? Is there another HSTD? I don't know. One of the STD tests was like semi-accurate.
What's semi-accurate? Like what percentage accurate?
I don't remember, but it was one of the highest accuracy ones.
Okay.
I want to say it was average with other machines.
So I feel like that's what their calling should have been. It should have been you specialize. Our machine can detect.
Okay, but here's the
STIs.
thing. You can they could do one, and you can also literally get like an at-home testing kit for that. Right? Can you? Am I wrong?
But I don't know. Imagine having a machine that just like did it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Just have one machine.
The point is, their machine's incredibly inaccurate.
Yeah.
It's got like one thing going for it, but it's not even a thing that like is super helpful because it's already extremely easy to test for.
Cool. Although that part I'm not concerned about.
Okay.
It may be easy to test for, but having to buy multiple kits is, I think, enough of an inconvenience that some people would say, I just want a machine that I can just have and then I can just turn it on and test myself.
Oh, here's the thing though. Since the machine couldn't do what they were saying, they weren't going to actually that comes into play later.
Okay.
But essentially you can't buy this machine, right?
Then how does one own one?
You can't yet. It's in the initial investment phase. But I do what you're saying, like, hey, this machine can do. Why would you buy a whole machine just to test?
For STIs?
Yeah.
I think it's overkill. I think that machine would basically only be purchased by like clinics, nursing offices.
That's fair.
School,
there's a lot of things that they could have done with what they were doing.
Yes.
That would have been better and more helpful because it was doable.
Yeah, that's what's ultimately frustrating me is they could have pivoted and be like, you know what, we specialize in detecting cancer.
Yeah.
And all we do is detect certain types of cancer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or, but no, they had to be like, we can test for almost 200 things, and our machine makes espresso just the way you like it, just like how our grandmama back in the homeland used to make it. And you're like, why are you promising all this?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I don't know, man. And it was all Elizabeth. Like, these engineers and people would like tell her, hey, the machine can't do this. And she would just go to these investor meetings and be like, you guys won't even know what we can do.
She'll be like, my engineer said the words, machine, do this. That was in the sentence they used.
Exactly. Later on, when she starts to go and give interviews and stuff, the engineers and stuff would be like, oh, wait, what? Like, what are you saying? So in September of 2010, there was a party with the Walgreens people and Theranos people, and, like, yay, we're partnering. Let's have a party for all the higher ups.
Of course.
And Theranos devices were present for the Walgreens people to go and like test their blood, right?
Okay.
But so they all did it. Oh, this is so fun. And Theranos is like, we'll send you the results.
This is so fun, prick. Oh, life of the party. Crazy.
And over a month passed and no one saw the results of the blood test. And somehow Elizabeth and Sonny managed to just put off the results until everybody just stopped asking and kind of forgot about it.
That, like, you're an executive at a company. Why aren't you like, hey, this partnership we like signed up for would be cool if we got an example of what it did, from the party a month ago.
Yeah.
Blood.
And at this point, some of the Walgreens executives were like, I don't know, man. We haven't actually.
Yes.
We haven't seen anything.
Exactly.
And they're like, we're supposed to go into production soon, right? But they were worried that if they dropped the contract, CVS would swoop in and they couldn't afford to lose it to CVS. And Elizabeth was like, and I'm talking to CVS. And they're like, fuck.
At this point, if you drop them, then you can have CVS burn their money instead.
Yeah. And on top of this, Elizabeth and Sonny had gotten in at Safeway and were working on getting an agreement with them as well. And this is when they were working with Stephen Burns, that guy who just...
Wait, is it Burns or Bird? I'm hearing a lot of names.
Damn it. Bird. Wait, is Stephen Burns the guy from The Simpsons?
I think so.
I'm so sorry, guys. I haven't been getting much sleep.
I don't know his first name, though, in The Simpsons.
In November of 2010, Elizabeth hired a new engineer named Kent to help create a new device that could actually measure the full blood test that they were promising.
Okay, so how many years into this are they? Now it's 2011?
2010, so 4?
2006 they started?
Right? 2006, 2000.
Then 4.
So he had an idea of hey, let's take the machines that do each of the tests and take them apart and then create one machine that combined all of them without worrying about the size and start from there and then figure out how to downsize it.
This could not be the first engineer who said this.
It's the first one who was quoted to say it.
This could not be the first engineer who was like, what if you just build the thing and then you make it smaller later?
Well, Elizabeth didn't care. She was like, absolutely not.
Based. She's like, no, that's what betas do. Chads just make it.
She's like, no. I want a small machine that does all the blood tests.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, but what if we do a big machine that does the blood test first and then make it small? And she's like, no.
Yes.
I want a small machine that does all the blood tests.
That is the actual prototype. You make the thing that works regardless of size. And then you're like, cool, now we can see how it all sort of works. Now we just got to figure out how to make it smaller.
Yeah, sure. And in spring of 2011, she hired her brother to work as an associate director of product management.
Well, yeah. Good idea.
Doing what? Who knows? But he convinced her to then hire 4 of his buddies from college. They all went to Duke together.
Nice.
And they all, worked out like they did. They were just kind of sitting there. And then by 2012, Safeway had invested over $350 million into revamping parts of their stores to have wellness zones.
Oh, good. So not money to her company, they're just renovating their own stores.
To have wellness zones that were centered around Theranos machines. Yeah.
Well, okay, that's a mistake. But having a wellness zone, I'm like, that's fine.
Sure. I think Safeway does things like vaccines and...
Yeah, exactly. Like pharmacies and stuff.
Yeah.
That's all got to be part of a wellness zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's fine.
So it wasn't fully just money lost.
No.
And Theranos was supposed to have been rolling out their machines by now, but Elizabeth had said in March of 2011, there was a earthquake in Japan, and that interfered with our ability to get cartridges for our devices. It was always an excuse. And unfortunately, Theranos was running out of excuses, and Safeway had opened a Theranos testing site at their corporate campus. So oddly, there was no actual Theranos device there. What happened was there was a phlebotomist who would take blood from people via the pinprick to the finger, but also, the normal way with a needle inserted into your arm.
Yeah.
And then the blood would then be sent to their lab in Palo Alto, and then they would test it, right?
Yeah.
And the Theranos results were supposed to come back quickly, but the results took over 2 weeks to come back. And nobody knew this, but Theranos had bought that equipment from other companies to test the blood, pre-existing ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're just a regular lab that tests blood.
Yeah.
No machine needed.
Right. Yeah.
I got blood work done the other week, and I got the results back in like 24 hours.
Did you really?
Yeah. So
I need to do that.
What is this machine doing that regular labs don't do?
It's wild they got it back so quickly. I've never actually gotten blood taken.
That's the second time too at this lab, and they get it back really fast.
You'll have to give me the name of it because I'm supposed to go do that.
Yeah. I have a pamphlet here somewhere.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Anywho.
So they're sending blood to their Bay Area location to do regular blood tests. No machine.
But not even that. Some of the results that Theranos was sending back didn't make any sense. It would show like elevated markers for things like prostate cancer. But when the patient went and got tested at another clinic, their blood work came back normal. So like they weren't even testing the blood accurately.
So what, like contamination or?
Yeah, there was
Fun.
Probably contamination. There wasn't proper handling of the blood.
Yeah.
It would like show up to them and it would be like congealed and stuff.
Oh, so they were like a crappy blood lab.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah. And by 2013, Walgreens had put more than $200 million into Theranos and was getting frustrated by the lack of follow through. Elizabeth was worried that if they did not deliver soon, they would lose the contract. So she was like, we have to do it, even if it means continuing to cheat.
How do you cheat further than this?
We'll get there. So, and around this time, she was like, since we're going to go, quote unquote, live, we have to do the whole thing. So she hired the publicity company that Apple had hired, and they did a complete redesign of the website logo and ad campaign. And she used this drop of this like ad campaign and then going into Walgreens. We'll get into the whole Walgreens thing. She used this drop to also have an interview in the Wall Street Journal, and she sent this interview that she did to people with an offer to invest in the company at quote unquote the start, like, hey, we're about to go be places.
Yeah.
You can do it now. She valued the company at $6 billion.
Sure.
Her and Sonny told possible investors that they could run about 300 different blood tests, which were as accurate as any other machine on the market. Plus, they had been submitted to the FDA for approval. Not true.
Submitted to the FDA for approval?
Their machines. The whole process.
Does that mean that?
It hadn't been.
But either way, a submission is not the same as like a pending approval or a...
I think they were saying like, it's been submitted. We're expecting approval any day.
Oh, okay.
Because if they said they were approved, it could be looked up.
Exactly.
Yeah. So like essentially no red flags here. We're going to get approved from the FDA. We're doing everything legit. It's all good.
That reminds me of on LinkedIn. I've only seen screenshots floating around, but people who they'll put Harvard in their education section, and then underneath it'd be like applied to, like not even got in or accepted, just I applied to Harvard. That's what this feels like.
Yeah, pretty much. She also they tried to sell some of the machines to the military, and I guess the military is a lot more strict than
Walgreens.
Because there's this one guy, and he was like, oh, do you have FDA approval? We can't accept you if you haven't. And she was like, oh, no, we're waiting on it. And he actually looked into it, and he was like, they haven't submitted anything to the FDA. And he went back to her and he was like, I don't think what you guys are doing is legit. And she was like, yes, we are. And he was like, I don't think so. And so anyways, the military did not use these machines, but she would go and, oops, sorry, I hit the table. She would go and she would tell investors that they had machines in the military.
She just like hides them beneath a couch, like puts them in places. We currently have machines on U.S. military bases.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I don't even think she did that, but
True.
that would have been
Yeah. True statement.
That'd be hilarious. Or she should just be like, leave some. She'd be like, I have a prototype for you guys, and do a meeting and then just leave it.
Yeah. It's free. You can keep it.
You can't use it, but you can.
Yeah,
look at
it's like empty.
So they claimed also, so they're saying they could run 300 different blood tests, which were as accurate as any other machine on the market. But they were not saying they could run that all on a single prick of the finger, right? They were like, we can run 300 with this machine.
Okay.
And we could run 70 different blood tests on a single finger prick of blood.
That still seems very, very inflated.
Yes. Yes. So in 2014, the company became valued at $9 billion. And Elizabeth, who owned more than half of the company, had a net worth of $5 billion.
What's stopping her at this point? Because surely she knows this company's a farce. Mm-hmm. We don't have a product. We don't have the technology to do this at this size. What is stopping her from just saying, sell all my shares, flee the country, change my name?
I think the problem is to sell everything she owns. Like, it's not actually valued that much. Like, it was valued at like $100,000, not $9 billion. So I was making up the 100.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
And so I think maybe she knew like she couldn't actually sell, like her shares weren't actually worth that. I don't know.
But someone might pay that for them.
She also loved she starts to get media attention and give art interviews and like TED Talks and stuff. And she like loved it. So I think it was more than the money. It was like, I am the CEO. I'm a strong, powerful woman.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so Elizabeth and Sonny decided to start by opening up a few Walgreens Theranos centers in Phoenix, since it was so pro-business there. California's like more secure and Arizona's like, yeah, open up business.
Yeah, no, it's a real issue because for my line of work with franchises, there's like a franchise location for several of my clients, like in every corner. Mm-hmm. And that kills your ability to market on a radius level. Because now suddenly you're overlapping and you're competing with yourself. Yeah. But Arizona just lets them like keep opening them up. Yeah. And then they all get upset because they're like, why is no one finding me? Or I'm like, because they're going to the guy down the block now.
Right. Oof. Yeah. So they opened up a few in Phoenix. I lost my place. Where the heck am I? Oh, here we go. And Phoenix, it also had a high rate of uninsured people who would likely be excited to try an affordable blood test.
Okay, yeah.
Inaccurate, affordable blood test.
Hey, that is to be determined.
Yeah. So since the machine didn't actually work, they couldn't like ship the machine to these locations. So they decided to start similar to how they had in the
headquarters location.
Yeah. They would have blood drawn at Walgreens and then shipped to their lab in Palo Alto.
But that's not the product. That's just a regular clinic. Uh-huh. Walgreens isn't like, what are we paying for? Like, what is this?
I think Walgreens was so desperate at this point to have anything that they're like, just do it.
How did they ever survive this? Like, I'm just now hearing of this. Granted, I never go to Walgreens. Maybe that's why. I never go to Walgreens. Because on some level, I knew they were this dumb.
I will say I've made a wedding picture book There's a name for those. And like I took my wedding pictures and I put them in a book, and then Walgreens printed them.
So they have a printer.
They have a printer, yeah. And it came out okay, but the process was a nightmare. And I tried calling them like multiple times and nobody answers the phone. And I ended up having to call a pharmacy, and they answered, and then they transferred me, and then nobody answered. Anyways, I'm not a big fan.
Well, now we know why. They make dumb decisions.
So anyways, where was I? So they would send the blood to their lab in Palo Alto. And for the most part, they tested the blood in the machines that weren't theirs. But sometimes they did use the Edison to test patient blood, because I honestly don't know why. I was like, why would you use the machines? Maybe like, so it was less lying.
Does it matter at this point?
I don't know.
It's all lying.
I'm like, why would you use this machine? Anyways, they did. And this was like, so there's this testing regulation where they had to be tested 3 times a year for accuracy. And it's like any lab has to do this. And then there's one person whose name is on the lab certificate, and you have to have certain credentials and stuff. And he ended up being part of the whistleblowers. And so they were saying like, oh, we're just using these other machines. We're not using the Edison. So the other machines were the ones that were tested. So they'd pass it, but they were using the Edison. So they lied. And that's a huge no-no. It like would shut them down immediately if
it got out.
Mm-hmm. And it's not part of the FDA. It's part of a different licensing thing. I don't know. It was very complicated, but essentially they're breaking the law in many different ways at this point. And also like they're literally testing people's blood on inaccurate machines and sending those results to the doctor.
Yeah.
And so like these people are getting results saying like, hey, you have incredibly elevated thyroid hormone, or your potassium is like bonkers. You need to go into the hospital right now because something's wrong. And then they'd spend money going to the hospital because they don't have insurance. And even if they do, insurance kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And so it was bad. And in December of 2014, a new article came out in the New Yorker about Elizabeth. And this time, a guy named Adam Clapper read it, and he's a practicing pathologist in Missouri because she's starting to kind of gain notoriety and more people are reading about her. And he's like, what she's saying doesn't really make sense. And he wrote a blog post about it. He was like, this is what I think about this article and this woman. I don't think it really is accurate. And earlier that year, Elizabeth had sued and won a previous lawsuit because a family friend, I would say more of a frenemy, had a patent about alerting doctors to important blood test information. And he filed this patent a little bit after Theranos had filed their original patent. And so he was essentially stopping them from doing the whole alerting doctors thing directly.
No kidding.
What they wanted to do.
Yeah.
So they sued him to be able to like progress that section because he had the patent. And Elizabeth ended up winning, not because she was right. She wasn't right, but Theranos had a lot more money and could like bankrupt him.
That's crazy.
So they ended up settling. But the frenemy, his name was Richard. And the author, Adam, the author of that blog post.
Yeah.
Is this getting too confusing? Are you following?
No, I'm following, yeah.
Okay.
She's suing this family friend / enemy for his patent that is preventing her from sending doctors immediate information once the lab results are done. Mm-hmm. And there was this separate person in the medical field who read some PR piece on Elizabeth Holmes and was like, none of this adds up from a medical perspective.
Right. So the frenemy saw that blog post and reached out to him. Mm-hmm. And then they talked and they reached out to an investigative journalist who worked at the Wall Street Journal, because the frenemy is like, I want to bring down Theranos. And the blog post guy is like, I think this company's lying.
Yeah.
And the investigative journalist that they reach out to is actually the author of the book that I read.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. He's the author of the book. He's the one who ends up bringing down Theranos.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
Spoiler alert.
Not really. It was literally like he went in, like 20% of the book was like him. Oh God, it was more. It's like 40% of the book was him talking about everything he did. And I cut it down to one here. So the author, on October 15th, 2015, the story broke and about Theranos and its lies and deceits. And
who's the author again? How can you not have his name ready to go? He's the author of the book you read.
John Carreyrou? Carreyrou.
That's a unique last name. All right, John. Shout out to John. Investigative journalism is important.
Yeah, and he did great. He reached out to like multiple people who had been fired and left. Quite a few people had ended up resigning because they're like, she's lying and I'm not comfortable with my medical license on this, or people, dying. Or like spending thousands of dollars on medical stuff they don't need.
Exactly.
So he got in touch with a lot of them and investigated and put together this whole article about Theranos and everything it was doing. And obviously this story caused quite the stir.
Yeah.
And the Theranos website quickly posted a rebuttal saying like, this is all fake. And Elizabeth went and did a bunch of like interviews and stuff, trying to do damage control and saying like, it was a bunch of old employees who were just trying to come after the company. None of it's true. And the FDA did a surprise inspection and forbid use of what Theranos called the nanotainer, which is you prick your thumb and then you put a drop into this teeny little container and then you would put it in the machine. So by saying you can't use that nanotainer, it pretty much shut down what they could do. Because if you can't put the blood in the machine, you can't.
We say it shuts down what they can do, but they're not actually doing that.
They were with some of them. And...
Were they?
Right, they used the Edison for some of it.
Okay, and the Edison could work off that.
Well, theoretically, but not accurately.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, also, just to mention, because you mentioned cloning earlier, sometimes if they didn't have enough blood to run the test, they would just dilute the blood to get more liquid.
That's not cloning.
It's not cloning, but it's like a similar idea of how do we get more blood?
That's how do I get more dish soap? I just got to add water. Now the bottle's more full. So it's more dish soap.
Yeah.
How do I get more gasoline? Pour water in the gas tank.
And now apparently in the science world, it's like a big no-no. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember how Elizabeth spinned it, but she was like, we preemptively pulled the nanotainer because it's being reviewed by the FDA, but don't worry, it's good. We're expecting approval or something. She tried to spin it and the damage came quick. Safeway pulled out. Mr. Bird was like, oh, shoot.
He was like, who signed off on this?
I made a mistake.
I've been skeptical from the beginning.
And then Walgreens halted its nationwide expansion and then pulled out of the deal completely. In 2016, a criminal investigation began to take place and investors of the company quickly filed lawsuits, except fun fact, Mr. Murdoch. Murdoch? You know the Murdochs.
Yeah, that's the Daredevil, Matt Murdock. He's a Marvel superhero.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the really, really rich guy. They were like in the news a couple years ago because of the murder on their property.
Oh, no, I had not heard of this.
Oh, anyways, they're super, super wealthy people, influential in the media world. They invested a bit of money and he did not include his lawsuit because he just wrote off what he invested as a loss. He was like, that's better.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Anyways, I thought that was funny. They mentioned it in the book. So In 2018, the Securities and Exchange Commission charged Theranos, Elizabeth, and Sunny with conducting an elaborate years-long fraud. And Elizabeth ended up, and Sunny broke up in like 2016 when this all started going down. Sunny disappeared for a while, but ended up coming back. I don't know why.
Doing what?
What?
You said he came back, disappeared for a while, but now he's come back?
He's come back. He was charged with fraud, so he has to go to trial and everything.
Got it.
And on June 14th, 2018, Elizabeth and Sunny posted each $500,000 bond and gave up their passports to post bail. And Theranos ran out of money in September of 2018 and ended up dissolving. Something really weird that is currently happening within the last 2 months is there's a bunch of like Theranos ads showing up, like on billboards, and nobody knows why.
Some kind of guerrilla marketing for something?
I have no idea. It's super weird. Honestly, I was too scared to click on the website because I was worried I was going to get a
Maybe it's
virus.
Maybe it's just promoting the special or a movie that's going to come out about it.
Maybe. I saw it on the Theranos subreddit and nobody knew what was going on. So who knows? Maybe Theranos is coming back. And
Better than ever.
the trial was super slow to begin because Elizabeth got pregnant.
By the older boyfriend?
No, she's dating this guy. His name is, I think, Billy, and his family's in hospitality, and he's like a small millionaire. He's like, according to Google, his net worth is 10 million.
Okay.
But she got pregnant and the trial took a while to start. And she also completely changed her look during this time. She like went from Steve Jobs wannabe to a mom who wears jeans and t-shirts. And she has the trial start. I'm trying to remember when her second pregnancy was, but I think it's after the trial, but before she goes to prison. Ooh. Plot spoiler, sorry.
Yeah.
So the trial takes for freaking ever to begin because she gets pregnant and then COVID hits, but it does begin. And she also, by the way, used her kid as part of her defense strategy.
Of course. That's why she got pregnant.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And then she also said that Sunny was abusive during this time.
Of course. Oh my God.
And then she also, what else was her defense? Was like that she didn't know she was lying, even though there was a bunch of text messages and emails to her saying like, hey, this isn't working.
Of course.
And she ended up being sentenced to 11 years in prison for conspiracy, defrauding investors, and wire fraud.
It's so much more lenient to be a white-collar criminal.
Yeah, she actually got 2 years taken off for good behavior, so now she's expected to be out in 9 years.
Of course. Yep.
Yeah. She got pregnant and had her second child shortly before going to prison. And there's like speculation that she did this to try and stay out of prison.
Yes.
And her incarceration was delayed until she gave birth. Then she went to prison.
100%, yeah.
Without her poor child who got left behind.
That's on her.
Yeah.
Don't have kids in an attempt to stave off a prison sentence.
Yeah. She was also ordered to pay back $450 million, but it's unlikely she will ever pay this back since she doesn't have any money. And the guy that she had kids with, they're not married. So, and he's very careful to keep his money separate.
Smart.
Yeah. And she's still in prison today. Sunny was actually sentenced to like almost 13 years in prison. A lot of people are upset about that because she was like the leader and stuff. And
Yeah, why would he get a longer sentence?
they were charged for the same thing, but there's two things she ended up not getting charged for that he got charged for. She had better lawyers, I think, ultimately, is what it came to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And better lawyers, or society is like a little bit sexist and racist. Sunny was not white. He was, I think, Indian.
Oh.
So that's the story of Elizabeth Holmes.
Well, she didn't kill anyone.
Yeah.
And
but she could have if she kept going
Could
forward
have.
with this and giving incorrect blood results.
a part of me finds this whole story more amusing than depressing because I'm like, I don't really care if Walgreens executives were dumb and made dumb business deals.
The only people who were hurt, I think, were the people who did the blood test.
Yes.
And they ended up getting their money back plus like $10 or something. It cost Walgreens like over $40 million.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Well, at least they were made whole.
Mhm.
And it doesn't undo the panic some of them might have faced from being told
Absolutely.
you're dying right now.
Or you literally should be dead based on this blood result.
Yeah. But yeah. No, I mean, without getting into maybe territory we shouldn't, white collar crime has the potential to do so much more harm to so much more people. But because it's all less direct, I think we tend to forgive it more quickly. And that's a problem. Like I doubt anyone died because of her actions. But like you said,
No, there was one guy.
Really?
It was so long. There's a few things I had to cut back, but there's this one engineer who ended up being really upset when he realized like she was lying and it was going to market and stuff. And he was trying to get her to not to do it. And she fired him. And then there was, he was going to have to, he got, what's it called? Deposed to go into the lawsuit with the patent. And he was really, really worried about having to talk during that.
Okay.
Because he was like, I can't lie.
Right.
And he ended up killing himself.
That doesn't feel like it's really on her. That is a pretty extreme reaction to not wanting to, like, why not just risk lying? Like if the choice is between you getting busted for the things you actually were a part of.
He wasn't worried about that.
Then what was he worried about?
He was worried about Theranos was, I believe Sonny was low-key like threatening him.
So he
also really, really cared about Theranos, and his name was on all the patents. And he was also depressed. So I think it was just a combination of a bunch of things where he was just so overwhelmed.
Yeah,
I guess you're right. Point. It wasn't
like, I do see your point, but I struggled to pin that solely on Elizabeth Holmes.
Yeah.
Like that sounds like there was other factors at play. Because I mean, look, if that happened like a lot, if there was like a lot of suicides in the company, then it'd be like, oh my, like the pattern of abuse. But if it's one guy who's like, I don't want to lie, because then I might go to prison for a little bit.
Or, bring down this whole company.
Yeah, or bring down the whole company. Like I better, like there was other stuff there for sure.
He was undiagnosed clinically, but likely clinically depressed.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That which, it does suck. And, she plays a role in that.
And sure. I do feel like I should say his name since we brought him up.
Yes, please do.
Ian Gibbons. And he was a biochemist. Yeah.
Well, there we go. I don't have a whole lot to add. I mean, there's a lot we can like touch on. I think when it comes to that kind of fraud, Elizabeth seemed to be willing to lie from the beginning. But let's give her the benefit of the doubt and say that wasn't the case. There is this, I think it's called like the boiling frog effect, where you're like in, the frog is in the pot,
water,
and the water temperature is slowly rising, and you're okay with it, and then at a certain point you realize, oh, like I'm being boiled alive, and it might be too late to get out by that point. So maybe that's what it was for her and a bunch of people in the company. They just kept like pushing the moral line. Oh, just a little bit more. We're so close. Just a little bit more. We're so close. And then eventually you're just full on lying to everyone.
Yeah.
And you're not even like within your own company. You might not necessarily know how you got there, but now you can't escape.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's true, but in the book he mentioned, I mean, it's probably true. He's a very good journalist and does his research, but he mentioned that it was common for Silicon Valley investors, like in the tech world, to lie to investors until you get to where you actually want to be. And the fact that this was so different was that she took that, but put it into a medical field where you can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's so many. So I don't work in tech.
Mm-hmm.
I leverage technology.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not the first AI craze. I should say in terms of craze, this is it. But there have been a number of tools in the last 10 plus years.
Do you remember, I think we've talked about this before, but the AOL chatbot?
I don't know if I remember the AOL one, but I've interacted with several.
No, not
chatbots.
AOL. AIM. Sorry.
Oh.
AIM. What was that?
AIM was the
AIM.
the messaging platform.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of chatbots.
Mm-hmm.
Some better than others.
Yeah.
But what I'm talking about is like, I remember years ago going to sites and they said they would like design your site using AI. Like you could type in like, I want this kind of website. And I toyed around with several of these sites, several of these apps, and it was always like the same templates, like the same 3 templates over and over. So I fully believe in the tech world, some companies inflate what they're doing to get money.
Yeah, for sure. So anyways, that's Elizabeth Holmes, and she's going to be out in 2032, and her boyfriend has actually like just tried to release a similar blood testing thing, and people are just like, what? Are you serious?
Do something else.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I do not think she will just disappear when she's released. I think she's in prison, ruminating and trying to come up with the next thing.
Yeah, people with that kind of charisma who seem to, for whatever reason, because I think of it this way, I'm sure like Walgreens at the time, all these other companies, their board of directors, she was able to convince them and get them to believe in her. So that is a very powerful ability to have. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't go away because she got caught. Mm-hmm. I mean, plenty of people who are felons can go on to become people in positions of power.
Yeah.
Like
the president.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So she's not done.
Right.
For sure.
I agree. So I guess maybe in 2033, we'll be releasing another episode on her.
Hell yeah. Elizabeth Holmes Part 2. Keep an eye out for it.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you all. Bye for now.